Again, from the blue side, sticking to somewhat similar band strategies. They'll adopt new bands with the Fearless format evolving. So the Wukong that was banned away in the second phase will move up to the first phase. Two bands over towards Aki once more, as TT are going to pay homage to Doinb Galio again, and I expect classic red side bands after that. Curious to see whether Rumble, Azir, or Varus sneak through in this game.
Ooh, okay, Sivir going to be taken off of the board. Like you said, there's a lot of those stronger champions that you would otherwise expect to be taken away early on that's just going to be let through. It is going to be the Varus taken away. The Varus does often just have to get taken out, and that is going to leave open the Pantheon. As we discussed, right, the Pantheon has had a small nerf. It's not that bad. His clear's a little bit worse. He's got a little bit of extra scaling, a little bit less early AD. It's whatever. He's going to be absolutely fine going on forwards. For ThunderTalk, though, you've now got yourself quite a few of these very strong champions up and available. The Sound going to be locked in, as you spoke about, right? The couple of our teams up in Group Ascend love this champion, rely on this champion, need this champion more than anything else. Paired up alongside the Xin Zhao as well. This is your front line pretty much locked in for ThunderTalk. They've now got themselves a really good base to build off of.
It's another comp for NIP already where they should be really potent punishing these solo lanes on the sides. SeTab, even in that game 1 win where I think he had a really clutch final fight around Baron, died 4 times on the bot side later on. Hoya died once. Look to see Naiyou continue to punish that with the Grand Starfall this time around. His solo kill, as expected, sees the Ornn blinded and says, all right, what do I want to bring out of lane ahead with to try and level team fights? Very few top lane champions meet that mark like Aatrox.
Yeah.
NIP are going to try and back up the damage. I wouldn't hate this. You're bringing some serious damage to the top side, so you're going to put Leave on a more supportive Senna.
Yeah, but the Senna for Leave has been a good champion for him. He's been playing it well, but not necessarily a great champion for NIP as a whole, just because they haven't really been able to protect him particularly well on this pick. It's very squishy.
Yeah, true.
And also, in this composition, right, you want to be playing a bit more towards the early game as the Pantheons for Naiyou, but now you're going to need to wait quite a long time into the later stages of the game for Leave, so it can be a little bit rough like that. ThunderTalk, they continue on with these champions that just base very well. It's going to be a nice, easy Orianna into the mid lane for SeTab. It's not necessarily something he's been playing a ton of, but all of the mid laners play it a lot. You could just absorb a ton of pressure, and unless, of course, Doinb feels like he wants to go super aggressive, which hasn't really been Doinb's playstyle recently, you should be able to just sit in the mid lane, absorb that pressure, and pair up very well alongside the Sion and the Xin Zhao.
What a classic little ban handshake we just saw go down there. Silas banned from TPT. It's like, all right, guys, you're gonna give us Alistair, or you're gonna ban it away, and NIP will ban it. I do like that because I think with what you talked about, you're waiting for the Aatrox. You need time on the Aatrox and the Senna. I really want to see Niket get a really good roaming support to pair up with this Pantheon, because Doinb doesn't play a ton of like super aggro roaming mid laners as a player in his current iterations, and he now loses the Rise too with the Realm Warp. So it's going to be on Niket to kind of be that facilitator next to Naiyou's Pantheon. But where does 1xN go with his champion pool? He's not going to be able to go scale for scale with the Smolder anymore. I think they're going to blind his AD here as well, knowing it's the Senna matchup. Not blind, by the way. My bad.
Yeah. Unblind. Other blind. The other one of that one. Yeah. Ooh, do you want to get super aggressive with this one? Okay, 1xN has looked really, really good on these very aggressive pickups. Things like the Kai'Sa the Lucian have been really nice for them. And you now also open up a very interesting question where, as NIP, do you need to respond here and take yourself the Nami, potentially, or the Milio, as you said, where they don't pair up super well alongside the Senna? Otherwise, you're just going to be giving one of those best-in-class pairings over to 1xN and Feather. This is what we were talking about, though. Does Doinb actually want to get aggressive into SeTab? You can play things like the Akali into it, and it's one of the few champions that can actually really push this Orianna around. Doinb is going to go towards it. This has been a classic for him in the past, not something he's been playing anywhere near as much recently.
I forgot about Doinb Akali, yeah, mainly because he hasn't gone to it too often. Split 2, he was really on top of it in these big spots. This pairs really well with Pantheon. So Doinb, if he can get shoved, unlock the map. Once again, NIP going to have the strength in flanking side lanes, overloading side lanes, and looking for a picks here. Niket, love the Nautilus, works really well with the rest of the comp here for NIP. The nerfed Braum on patch 25-15 is still going to be the pairing with 1xN. I want to give you credit, Bloxxer, because I really thought this was a good spot for TT to bring an enchanter. They have enough engaged. They have a good front line, but they want more.
And I think in this situation, right, the Braum, it just pair up really well alongside this entire composition. It can stop a lot of what Leave is looking to do. And this is the thing, right, the Senna's super, super weak during the early laning phase. Honestly, one of the weakest in the entire game. It's miserable to try to play this champion early on if you're going to get pushed around and punished. The Lucian Braum can both push around and punish this Senna, and also the Senna just doesn't have the damage available to it early on for that reduction in the base armor to really matter. And once we get into the later stages of the game, yes, you want to be tanky as the Braum, but the Sion's going to be a massive issue anyway, and as soon as you put that Crescent Guard up, Aki's going to be able to absorb a lot of that pressure too. You don't need your Braum to be that tanky guy.
All right, here we go. Game 2 set up and ready, with both teams able to have some scaling damage threats on both sides. You see the setup for Leave there on a timer. SeTab's Orianna. Those shockwaves are really going to hurt, and a tanky Sion going on. But there's also some power in the early game. Mainly Doinb Akali. Split 1 MVP, sent all the way down to the depths of the LPL in the final split. And how does he crawl back out? Well, with picks like this, down a game, looking to keep NIP towards the top half of Group Nirvana, and it'll help them to get some love from their fan base as we get onto the Rift. TT fans are holding strong. They're outnumbered. They're holding strong.
Yeah, they're still loud for how many of them you would expect to be in this situation, and they're going to feel bolstered by that previous game, picking up the win. That's going to be incredibly important for that game score going on forwards. And as we've been highlighting, right, this is a double-header. These two teams play here today, but they also play again on Thursday in their next matchup. So being able to pull out the overall victory here, going to be incredibly important going on forward. For these compositions, ThunderTalk, this is very standard. This is what we've been seeing a lot, and it gives you a pretty smooth overall curve where you've got strength in the early game, strength in the mid game, and then that tanky sound to carry you through in the later stages. For NIP, they want to play this one very aggressive in the early game. You need to get your Akali, your Pantheon, your Aatrox ahead, but then also, you just want to wait long enough for Leave to actually stack up.
What is going on here? Alright, we invaded on the chickens, and we have 8 people fighting for them, but the chickens are disgruntled that they've been pulled out of their pit. Smite Fight's going to be won by Naiyou, so he gets level 2, and now TT, oh, they're so screwed. Somebody has to die, and it's going to be Feather that ends up falling. Hey, at least nobody burns any flashes. That's fun.
Yep. I like that. That's good copium right there. That's the correct level
that's the good stuff.
Of hope. Yeah, that's how much you need to believe blindly in ThunderTalk. What were we just saying before that little invade? Who do we need to get ahead early? NIP, they're going to be very happy with the fact that Naiyou picks up that early kill. Yes, he's not going to be able to go back and spend that gold right now, so it is going to take him a little bit longer to really get that extra benefit, but once he does, he's going to be in a very strong spot.
But the problem of that level 1 death is compounds, because for TT1XN, the Lucian into Senna lane gets pushed off level 1 waves, so I'm curious how much XP 1XN has actually lost by this point compared to Leave. Got to be at least a couple of those melee minions, and we talked about it. This is the early game lane that TT need to prioritize, and they're going to need jungle help to get out of this hole, and Niket's going to make sure to send that message to them.
And this is kind of the only point, really, in this lane where you can actually do that. The second that the level 2 comes through for ThunderTalk, going in with a hook like that gets you punished immediately. But at this point, going to be absolutely fine. And allowing Leave to get these first couple waves.
1XN eats a dredge line. Able to trade well back, though, with that Braum concussive blow. But actually, yeah, that was... I guess Braum's still fine, guys. Take more armor away from this guy. He's still too strong.
Yeah, the thing is, the Braum isn't going to die to a level 2 Senna Nautilus unless, you know, keyboard mouse disconnect and he walks straight into them. But 1XN is going to be dealing plenty of damage. You can see now that level 2 does come through, you're going to have to be a little bit more careful as NIP's bot lane. You don't want to be overly stepping up at this point. Okay, see, they're pushing forwards. They're going to get this wave underneath the tower, and it should just be an early recall coming on through from Leave. See if he can spend a little bit of gold, put himself in a good spot. In fact, Niket is also going to spot out Arky, so that's going to keep this bot lane that much safer as well.
Trade of Scuttle Crabs. Naiyou is trying to get crafty, maybe trying to steal away some camps, but instead he'll go for a mid lane gank on a SeTab who has no mana and gets a speed up. I was expecting Naiyou to flash stun there, but still seeing a lot of hesitancy from NIP.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing like they're scared, which is really odd to see, right? Because into a team who, up until the point at which they played, had been crushing people, NIP did not play scared when they played up against EDG. Maybe a little bit too reckless with some of their engages, whereas now, all of a sudden into ThunderTalk, a team that most people really don't respect. We see it a lot in other matchups versus ThunderTalk, where teams will just throw themselves at them. LGD certainly just kept chucking themselves at ThunderTalk.
Oh, yeah.
NIP playing with so much respect, and it's beginning to cost them a little bit.
Still NIP, though, about 500 gold ahead, and it's the jungle that's doing that. Naiyou comes back Caulfield's Warhammer Longsword versus double Ruby Crystal from Aki. So if that doesn't scream no fighting for TT around this dragon, around Grubs coming up soon, don't know what really will tell you that.
Yeah, hopefully we do get to see a little bit of action from these two teams. They have enjoyed kind of just staring at each other for a while, but we've got a ton of people up on the top side of the map. You are absolutely correct. No teleports available right now, so if things do get extra explosive, then that's not really going to help out. You can't bring your top laners or your mid laners into this matchup. Aki kind of sniffing up towards the top side of the map. Naiyou is in the area, does not yet have that level 6, so he's still kind of waiting to have that Grand Starfall to really begin to look for these big ganks. Said it's just 1xN and Feather doing a good job of weathering the storm of losing Feather's life early on.
Still in a hole, though.
Yeah,
down about
absolutely.
a wave's worth of CS, and it's not terrible. Lucian's still going to be stronger on one item, 2 items, really, up until, I'd say, 3, but you want to put this Mr. Consistent, clear carry point, player of the game from game 1, 1xN in prime position to carry this one through. Dredgeline once again down from Niket. Might give us a good measure of how good trading will be here for TT, but eating that snare from the Senna shuts down Lucian from bringing out any of his burst. Couple pings spot out Naiyou coming up towards his top side. TT know that this dive threat is here.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not this big of a dive threat. Holy moly. All right. Doinb has perfect execution, and the stun immediately lands on a 1xN, tries to get back towards his turret. Niket will not even fall to the turret aggro. Clinical dive from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and Feats of Warfare in their grasp.
Really well done. I mean, 1xN, Feather, neither of them even flash in that situation. They just get instantly jumped. What you lose for this is going to be maybe just about a turret plate into the middle lane. See if SeTab's actually going to be able to hit that last. And a little bit of extra power through this Ocean Drake. That's going to help out your Scion. You know, he's going to be very happy to have himself an Ocean Drake sat for these long lanes, but everybody else, they're not really going to be too happy with that one. And the fact that the kills go over to a couple of these key members, Naiyou now going to pick up his 2nd kill of the game, and Doinb critically getting on the board with that kill. He's got that Dark Seal in inventory as well, so he's going to be stacking up already.
TT tried to swap the Scion into the 2v1. They're still trying to do so.
Yeah.
Now they're finally going to get that spot, so that will, you know, give them some control back in this game.
Big delay, though.
But yeah, it is a big delay, and Doinb is once again doing a really good job roaming on the map with his call. He is spotted going for the spot lane flank. Unstoppable Onslaught used on the top side from Hoya as he tries to chase down Leave. Does get the Decimating Smash knock up. Leave, remember, still has Flash. And he also has Swifty Boots, so he kind of just outruns Hoya. Will miss the cannon, though.
Unfortunate, he's still going to be able to pick up the majority of this wave, so it's not the end of the world. Swifties into no boots whatsoever for Hoya was always going to be him running away from that one, although, if he'd have got caught by that, maybe it's a good chunk of damage. He is 2 levels down. Obviously, the Scion going to be pretty strong compared to an early level Senna. The dive gets stopped. Nothing too much extra happens down towards the bottom side of the map, but we do now have Grubs up and available. Hoya is up here, but you've brought way more members right now as NIP. You've got everybody bar Solokill on this side of the map. The most Arky could potentially go for is stealing one of these away, and I do think it's just going to be all 3 of these Grubs going over to NIP.
Yeah, you're never in a good spot to fight over these. So, 3 Grubs do go over to the team with Aatrox in the kit for that side lane pressure. Solokill, speaking on the Aatrox, is feeling the hard end of the stick when it comes to the 1v2. He is froze off his wave, just stepping up. He's like, let me get a little bit of that XP, guys. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't need the gold, I just need the XP.
Yeah.
That's all I need to get my fix.
Feather trying his absolute best to
sad
not
cat.
allow this to happen. Yeah, this is rough, but this is the way that these matchups do often go. Top laners, as much as they are allowed to play some more carries at this point, aren't really allowed easy laning phases. Feather gonna do a good job of being able to leap away from that one. Niket was running his way on in. Things go back to being a little bit calmer, a little bit slower. We've got 5 minutes now until the Herald is going to be spawning. More importantly, there's Drake upcoming soon enough, and these teams are both really going to want to fight over this one. I do not expect what we saw previously, where it was just one team being able to run straight through towards that soul. I think these two teams are going to have to scrap for these early objectives a bit more.
We like the brawler Naiyou the most in any of these fights. Got the Sundered Sky done. So this Pantheon is really strong and can be a priority point on the map. And for that Drake, like you called out, still about 2 minutes away, though. So Naiyou's going to look to invade, try and punish Aki for his jungle camps. He's going to smite away the Grom. Still going to eat the stun. Niket coming across does not have the depth charge, so he's going to have to use the hook that Aki is going to flash over. And in comes the freight train. Hoya just here to cover his jungler. He wanted to get to that turret as quickly as possible anyways.
Yeah, although he has now sprinted his way down into what could be a potentially uncomfortable situation.
We're diving
4
to Sion,
members
though.
of NIP are here. No ulti on the Sion.
Okay, he's still kind of tanky. SeTab's TPing in. Yeah, all right. Whew. They get the TP out. I was already terrified of a Sion dive. I didn't see anything there from you, SeTab. Nope. Why is Orianna ult on cooldown, everybody? My monitor turned off.
Oh boy, yeah. It was always going to be a bit risky, right, diving onto Sion. He's one of the best champions for at least being able to trade that one as a 1-for-1. Without the ulti, it was a little bit less scary. You do blow the teleport out of SeTab, exactly right, and you weirdly managed to put the shockwave on cooldown. Odd how that ended up happening. But it was always going to be that kind of aggressive play right there, because you just... Hang on.
All right, here we go. Grand Starfall. Feather, you are dead again. 1xn, let him go. And that map presence threat for NIP delivers right on schedule.
Absolutely. I was trying to talk, but I was looking at the map. I was like, I've seen Doinb sprinting at top lane right now. This is about to go wrong very quickly for ThunderTalk. Unfortunately for ThunderTalk, they don't have the levels of vision that we do, and that's going to open up a big bit of these plates top lane. Teleport actually going to come in. Hoya, again, should be able to absorb this pressure. Anybody else teleporting into this situation would likely get dove, but the Sion going to be just fine. Grabs the majority of that wave as well. But you have now teleported up towards the top side of the map, away from this spawning dragon. Second dragon of the game, going to be a Cloud Drake. Pretty important, I think, for ThunderTalk to start stacking these up if they can.
Solokill, you don't really... because you have the TP advantage, you don't need to trade into Hoya by this point. Even if you do like seeing the sweet spots land, because the TP threat's going to be huge. Dragon stacking shutdown is going to be big, especially knowing that Mountain Soul is on the cards for Hoya. You want to make sure TT don't get the second one, but Solokill still really wants to scrap. Hoya's ultimate is coming up soon. I wonder if he has enough mana to just charge at this Aatrox without World Ender, but we won't have to focus on that because it's actually Doinb getting caught out in a brush. Can they get the Bronze Stone through? Yes, the stun lands. 1xn, you got enough damage in the tank? No, he does not. Dawnling Shadow comes across, Doinb goes right back in. They get the depth charge knock up onto Aki. The Crest Guard shows up. 1xn knows he's dead. He's going to trade himself out with Doinb. Really heads up play from the TT80 carry.
Yeah, he was always going to die, and if he just tries to walk away a little bit more, you don't get to trade that one back. Brilliantly done there. Still, that does leave you with low health bars and people having to go and reset right as this Drake is available. Naiyou in a perfectly strong position to be able to go and contest onto this one. And with everybody resetting on through, I don't think you can fight onto this. This is going to be one apiece in terms of the Drakes, one apiece in terms of the kills. But again, where the kills are going continues to be very, very important. It's Niket that ends up picking up the kill right there onto 1xn, whereas it's 1xn who manages to pick up that kill. That's going to give him the Essence Reaver as well. Couple of daggers in inventory too. 1xn's actually in a pretty strong spot here.
Flicker Blade shipping so far, just at the processing plant for now. We'll be there in 5 to 10 minutes or business days, whatever you want to call it there. Good call out, though. That is, as we continue to talk about how these two comps have their strengths in the mid game and the late game, 1xN is the bridge from this point on. The damage he brings is what's going to help them get some of these big kills alongside those shockwaves. But we want to see NIP continue playing the map better. That's what they've done to get to the 5-kill lead nonetheless. I do want to shout out Leave.
Yeah.
Because he is almost at 60 stacks on the Senna, really ahead of schedule. And remember, he's going to outrange, just all of ThunderTalk. This game goes late. SeTab, same Game 1 woes are kind of showing up here. I feel like if they get this wave in, SeTab is a prime dive target. And, yep, here we go. They're going to TP in for it.
Wow.
Aki and Feather are here, but SeTab does a good job clearing the wave out. NIP, Niket, they say, screw waves. We're just going for the dive here. Shockwave's going to miss, and he's going to flash even though the stun lands. Niket is going to get executed because SeTab did no damage to anybody.
Yikes, that's really rough. Picking up the kill onto the support and not even getting the credit for it. This is going to lead the tower to go down as well. That's now going to be just more gold pouring into NIP's back pockets. They've got themselves a huge advantage in this point in the game. And it really is just, again, as you said, the woes of Game 1 popping up again. SeTab out of position, should have recognized that the collapse could happen so quickly. At the same time, though, I can only blame ThunderTalk for it so much. NIP's composition is brilliantly built to just be able to jump people as quickly as possible. Naiyou, every single time he's had that Grand Starfall up and available, has been looking to find it, and so far has done so to great success.
What are we doing around this Herald? All right, here we go. The Scion, it does hit on the
that's
lead.
huge! Yo.
The woes of lead positioning, really going to burn an IP, and now Solokill's getting jumped on next. The Braum stack's providing so much value. It's a double kill over to Aki. Oh, Leave.
What do we say, huh? What did we say? Unfortunately, Leave's mispositioning errors have been coming through for the last 2 and a bit splits so far, and it really bites them in that situation. He's so out of position. Feather is stepping quite far up, is quite low health.
He's got the shield up. He gets back towards 1xN. He is going to die. Doinb goes in with the first bit of probably execution, but a shockwave naps him out of the air. SeTab's revenge significantly impacting that fight and gets them the Octagon.
Absolutely. You're going to be more than happy trading the support for the mid laner in this situation. Herald going to be picked up as well. Aki has got that one in the back pocket. And this is something that we talked about in the previous game. ThunderTalk, they didn't have a lot of long lanes to try to play around, and it made it very hard. Rift Herald should go a long way towards helping this one out.
You didn't even see the Scion until he was knocked up.
Yeah, like, it's unfortunate for him, but you have to expect that Hoya is going to be sprinting his way into this fight. You have to be behind a couple more members of your team. You've got yourself a squad right here where you have an Aatrox, you have a Pantheon, and a Nautilus. All of these people should be in front of you. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, though, the center range really isn't that long, so he's forced quite close into that fight and gets punished for it.
And just like that, the huge NIP early game lead, I want to remember, they were up like 1.5k at
yeah, they were in a good spot.
8 minutes. They were in a great spot. It's all gone. TT are in the pristine gold position. They have the Herald as well to try and even up the turrets taken by this point. Not a lot to fight over. And Feather is going to get picked off. Braum can survive a lot of damage, and hey, you gotta love those blast cone spawn timers. Yep. I don't think that thing was up until right as that engage came across.
Yeah, that was important. Although he is backing on a ward right now. Yeah.
And there's a spear right to your jugular, my friend. Naiyou completes the pick play, and SeTab. Oh wow, are they really gonna dive this guy? But why not? Niket's got depth charge. SeTab, the shockwave hits onto one member. It's Leave, but he doesn't have turret aggro. It's Niket again doing such a good job juggling the turret aggro. Aki, that is not a tasty treat. That is bait.
It is, but I mean, I would have gone for it. Sumi, that would have been such an easy kill. If you can hit that, Wind becomes lightning. Not quite going to be able to land, though, and it is going to be Niket walking away, surviving this one. Still, with everybody being drawn up towards the top side of the map, that is going to be the Rift Herald coming down through the mid lane. Picks up that tier 1 tower, putting a tumble gold into 1xN back's pocket, and he also gets a charge onto the mid lane tier 2 as well. You get something back right there as ThunderTalk. You don't allow the gold gap to get back away from you, but it's now going to be back to even. Drake spawning up right now. ThunderTalk, they are the first to this. SeTab is sprinting his way back towards the fight.
Naiyou doesn't have a flank angle because he did use that Grand Starfall to kill off Feather, who is here with his own smite. Niket does not have Smite with the Unsealed Spellbook, so this likely shouldn't be a 50-50 if Aki and Feather can time it up with no interruption. Send us here. There goes Doinb flying after 1xN, but he doesn't have enough damage. He has to perfect execute back out. 1xN still up and thriving with the culling. Knocks down Solokill. Shockwave is going to grab Niket as well, but there's the execution onto 1xN. Naiyou picks up the kill, and Doinb can start throwing the 5-finger strikes down, but Hoya is flashing after him. Health means enough damage to deal, and boy, is he pushing it to the face of NIP. One more kill to find. It's Leave getting chased down. Slow comes across. SeTab should be able to secure this one. Leave is going to flash, but he's going to force SeTab to flash after him. This is taking a little too long.
Come
no
on.
way. Is Leave actually out? Oh, they're TPing in. Leave is out.
Oh my god. Oh man, that's a great escape if I've ever seen one. I was so surprised when he flashed, but you get the flashback out of SeTab as you highlighted, and actually managing to survive as well. Still, the teleport in, it's something. That's wild. All right. Whatever on that front. More importantly, this right here, way over aggressive out of Doinb. He does not have the damage available to him right now to be able to instantly kill 1xN, and 1xN is allowed to open up with the culling that just rips Solokill's heads off, and the second that you miss out onto the Aatrox, this fight is going to be won. It's still rough, it's still hard. You see the execute finally comes through, and 1xN does go down, but it doesn't matter in the end. And more importantly than the great chase that I guess we're going to watch again, it's Aki being able to pick up that Drake. That's now going to be 2 in the back pocket of ThunderTalk, and they've proven that they could win in these 5v5s.
SeTab able to get to 2 items off the back of that. Aki gets the Black Cleaver. Going to provide a lot of value for 1xN, who still needs to be a prime damage source. And we just can't stop saying enough good things about this guy. That fight was so hard to navigate. You called it right. Every one of these fights, there's going to be an Akali flying at you, a Pantheon flying at you. But he's still just getting the most value out of this solution before he falls. Because it does feel inevitable that 1xN will die with how much NIP are making it a priority.
Yeah.
But he's making it a costly trade so far.
Absolutely. Every single time you want to kill him, it's not because he's stepped out of position, right? It's because he's in the backline and you've had to fling everything at him, used a bunch of those big tools to get on top of him, and you'd better hit him, right? You'd better actually be able to pick up that kill because he will punish you on the turn every single time, and even when he knows he's going to die, as we saw in that play earlier, still going to be able to find ways to trade it back, make sure that you're punished for it, not able to play any of these nice and easily. Atakan is going to be spawning down on the bottom side of the map. Both of these teams positioning like they want to try to play around it. Solokill heading back to base, does also have the teleport.
Aki, alright, feeling himself a little bit here. Oh, Feather, that Glacial Fissure hits nobody. So that ults out, and Naiyou does have Grand Starfall. The backline needs to be told that there's going to be a Pantheon coming for their head. But TT still like their odds on this Atakan. They do have the Akali in base. Doinb is going to teleport in. Dredgeline does lay down the Feather. There's the unstoppable onslaught. TP
Hoya
is coming across. Doinb has access to the backline. TT are getting bottlenecked, and Doinb flies on in with more than enough damage to finally get the kill onto 1xN. TT overstay their welcome at Atakan and lose a whole damn lot for it.
Yeah, they're going to get massively punished for that one. Now Hoya going to have to turn tail and run. This tower not going to be long for the world this time. Potentially not either. Hook also going to land right here out of Niket. Naiyou, between them, not a huge amount of damage. They need to get the other members into this fight.
I still don't think he dies. All right, now I think he dies.
Okay,
All right,
now he does.
I was waiting for somebody with damage items behind him.
Yeah, as soon as Doinb and Leave arrive, there's a chance. Between Naiyou and Niket, they're not going to be able to grab that one. Hoya at least going to be able to cut this wave down a little bit, and I'd love to jump back into a replay right here because ThunderTalk, they make an absolute mess of this fight, right? You've already watched the Braum completely and utterly miss the ulti. The big egregious one here is Hoya. What is that? What is that ulti? He hits it straight into the wall of the Atakan pit and just completely leaves 1xN to die. He is alone the entirety of that fight, and it's so easy right there for Doinb to say thank you very much, pick up that kill, and it's a complete disaster of a team fight for ThunderTalk.
And the XP gains are exponential for NIP off of that Atakan play. Still enough agency for TT to feel like they can scrap, but side lanes have been their woes all series long, and I've seen this movie way too many times. Does get a good two-man Shockwave, but he's going to die. Seraph Shield, this is all facade. There we go. Doinb 6th kill of the game. Good response here from TT, though, just barreling down mid lane. Very valuable turret to actually trade SeTab for. I think that's actually what we call a plus EV play.
Yeah, you're not going to be too mad about this one as ThunderTalk, and that's partly SeTab for being able to survive a little bit longer. It means that you know you can step up, you've got your opponents on vision a little bit more. Also, while we were spending all that time around the Atacant, Drake is now going to be spawning 3 seconds until that one is on the board. SeTab is dead for the next 20 seconds, but does have the teleport to rejoin. And now with that mid lane tier 2 down, that opens up the map that little bit more for ThunderTalk, makes it a little bit easier for them to establish control. Looks like they are more than happy, though, to just concede this one. Arky heading straight up towards the top side of the map. Krug's top lane wave, apparently far more important to him than contesting for this Drake.
Bloxxer?
Yes.
Leave's going to have 120 set of stacks before 25 minutes.
That's incredibly fast.
That's got to be the fastest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Remember when he was a little too short range for these fights?
Yeah. He's going to be hitting you for next week very soon. This is incredible to watch.
Wow. That is... I mean, his one death was bad.
Yeah.
Outside of that, holy moly, Leave. 1xn, you are getting tapped halfway across the screen the rest of the game, brother.
And this helps twofold, right? Yes, the mispositioning is bad, but if you've got extra range, well, it's much harder to misposition. You can sit further behind your tanks, further behind that front line for you. It's going to make it that much easier. Still, though, how far ahead he is and how much damage he can do means that if he does still manage to misposition, ThunderTalk picking up the kill onto Leave cuts the amount of damage NIP can do almost in half, instantaneously. That's going to be a huge amount of their game plan just evaporated off the map. So Leave, he needs to be careful with his positioning, but with the extra range, rapid fire and cannon in hand, going to be a little bit easier. And with the executioners as well, he's going to be stopping a lot of what Hoya and Arky are actually trying to do during these team fights.
Leave has no excuses to die the rest of this game.
Yeah.
Who really even threatens him diving him? It's a shockwave, but how does the shockwave ever get there?
Yeah, it's Arky
has one
on a
dash.
beautiful
It's
wind becomes lightning, or just the flank of dreams from Hoya. Yeah, there's a potential, but it is really rough.
Yeah, well, here we go. They're going for it, and Hoya stops his charge about 2 paces forward. So there's one of the few engaged tools for TT off of the board. Hoya won't take too much of a lick for that, but yeah, that wasn't a good start to trying to threaten the uber range Senna.
Yeah, that was now the second unstoppable onslaught right here that just hasn't really found too much. Still, that one doesn't cost the team the game. ThunderTalk, they're going to be keeping themselves in this one. They're only down by 2,000 gold, 26 minutes in. That's not going to be too bad. 3 items have now come through right here onto 1xn. He does do a lot of damage, but you are getting to the point where you have been outscaled, right? As we've been talking about, right? With all of the stacks that Lee's been able to pick up for himself, he's going to be hitting really hard and from really far away. He just takes out this tower by himself. Doesn't even need a minion wave to be able to help out. The Grubbies doing a little bit extra, and you can see NIP, they are in a very strong position in this game. They should be able to close this one out, but we said that in the previous game.
I will say, this game, though, if they lose this game, I think the amazing Kelsey Moser, NIP fan, producer behind the scenes, may not make it to the next series. This one would be massively more egregious than the last game.
Yeah. The last game was bad, but this one would be a monumental throw. I mean, once again, Doinb's put himself in a great position to be able to carry. I think this has been an even better game right here. And a Naiyou, and he wasn't even particularly rough on the fight in the previous game. It's been nice to see. For NIP, what are the next steps? Well, the next step would usually be Baron. They've shown us that they don't love Baron. We will see if Baron is actually going to be the decision. There's also 1 minute 40 seconds until the next Drake is going to spawn. And as much as getting yourself a full Chemtech Soul is cool, it's nowhere near as cool as getting yourself a full Mountain Soul. So if they're going to put some priority onto the Drakes, I could understand it even more in this game.
Just want to see them make a decision and stick with it at this point. Even if we do like them, if a game gets drawn out, there's no more drawing this game out. You're 30 minutes in with a 3-item Senna, nearly pushing 140 stacks. You got Zanya's done on Doinb. Even he should be safe diving into the back line if he gets in a pickle. The Shockwave has been neutered. There's no range for 1xn. Just start the Baron and force a fight that you like. I mean, look at that from Leave. He just did 40% of Feather's damage or health bar.
It's so rough. So rough to try to step up, especially when you've got yourself a few of these shorter ranged carries, right? You're not hitting people from super far away as 1xN, unless you're just popping the culling, and then who is the culling landing onto? Because you've got a couple of champions that are happy to absorb it. You can also just put the shield up as Naiyou and absorb it. 1xN can't play video game at this point. He is getting pushed around so badly, which is really rough to see as the guy for ThunderTalk.
Oh, man. All right. Doinb, he's going for a catch in the jungle as well. SeTab chunked in.
Oy.
Oh, yep. That's a shockwave. Doinb's going to let that one marinate for SeTab. He doesn't even want to kill him. He's just like, you think about your actions.
Yeah, I'm just going to walk this one away. Instead, it's just going to be Leave from next screen over, hitting onto this tower. You can't even step up to kill the minion wave right
TT,
now.
they gotta
As
go.
ThunderTalk, you have to get yourself something aggressive. Yeah, you have to go. You have to go in. Part of the problem with why they can't do that, though, is that Hoya hasn't been particularly good at hitting these unstoppable onslaughts so far. SeTab.
Oh, SeTab, buddy.
Take 2, bud.
All right, we need to count on how many times this guy dies in the side lane. Yes, did I say he died early? No, I really didn't. Oh, the sun, yes. Why are we burning that? All right, then. Oh, I didn't see Aki pop over the wall. Okay, respect SeTab. You should get Doinb killed, and he does. I wasn't familiar with your game there.
Look at the map. Yep. The response out of that one, because you know there's multiple members on the top side, is going to be this Drake going over. Soul Point now completed for NIP. As we've been talking about, the Mountain Soul would be a huge benefit to them. If it's already tricky to kill people like Doinb and Leave, it's going to be that much harder with an extra shield on top of their heads as well. For ThunderTalk, go time has to be now. You are getting outscaled. You have probably been outscaled. They have to find this fight.
And it should be around Baron. Can 1xN maybe get the armor pen item through by then? Who's to know? Feather looking to get some vision down so he can at least try and track Baron takes. Bot wave is pretty evened out, and I see both top laners running their way here. So at the very least, NIP are going to wrestle control of this jungle and look to just pick off whoever steps up, who is Feather and Aki. Glacial Fissure's down. Just look at Leave. Just see if Leave ever is under any sort of threat right now.
Hoya!
Hasn't happened
What are you
yet. As
doing?
Hoya throws himself into all of NIP. Shockwave's going to hold Doinb at bay, but there's the perfect execute onto the back line, and they send Solokill with full force at all of ThunderTalk. There is finally the kills stacking up for NIP. 1xN's flash, the only reason he survives, and Hoya, you got all that health and a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be a triple
never
kill right
mind.
here for Naiyou. Yeah, is going to be able to kill 1xN on the back end of that one. Just use the Grand Starfall to get in. That's going to be the Baron as well, and this should be the game. NIP, they've made it look a little bit rougher than they needed to, but still, ThunderTalk, they've been outpaced, and it feels like there's almost nothing that they can do to get themselves back into this one.
The Baron look, and then maybe they'll probably take the reset, but after that, it's assault on all fronts of these last couple outer turret scraps.
Yep.
Much more NIP-esque look to this game, too. They came to play after dropping a game they had no business losing.
So, watch Hoya again.
Oh, man.
That is the third unstoppable onslaught in a row that just has done nothing. And then on the back end of this one, I mean, Doinb doing work. He does so much damage at this point. And even though he ends up going down, it does not matter because he takes a huge chunk of damage off of all of the carries right here for ThunderTalk. Watch this one. Grand Starfall straight on.
Oh,
he actually
spearhead.
dies just... Yeah. Yikes. Yikes. You know what? Hey, fair enough. I like the play right here out of Naiyou. ThunderTalk just completely dismantled in this one. Without any of these big engages coming through from Hoya, there's nothing that they can really do to get back into this game. It's going to take a miracle of a Shockwave, Unstoppable Onslaught combo where 1xN gets the Cullen down on top, and they just haven't shown it so far this game.
Well, now, Bloxxer, we get to play a fun game called Will TT members see Leave on their screen when he kills them? That's the fun game I'm ready to play. He's about to get to 160 stacks. Yeah, yep, that's 160 at 32 minutes. First turret's going to go down. TT are trying to crowd up and get back towards their Nexus turrets. They do get Naiyou a bit too far forward with this Great Starfall, but he's not even dying in the middle of 4 members of TT. Shockwave is going to pick Doinb off. He goes into the stasis, about 1 HP, so Doinb's going to go down here. Maybe NIP are messing around a little too much. The flash forward on to Leave. How are TT doing this? Pulling. It's on to Leave. TT are wiping down NIP just when we thought they had the midnight hour on this game. Everything gets blown away!
No, not again. You can't be doing this again right here as NIP. They go way too far in. We'd just been praising Naiyou, but he jumps up too far forwards. Yes, he doesn't pay with his life. He's got himself that shield to put up. But the remaining members of NIP got drawn in. And what happened to Doinb? I lost track of him in this fight, and he ends up dead on my screen all of a sudden. He goes toe-to-toe with SeTab, a fight he should easily win.
What?
He just gets shockwaved. Yeah,
what?
There we go. I mean, SeTab's not been good with the shockwaves so far this game, but the second that Doinb's dead, that's the backline threat that you've been worried about gone, and you can see 1xN immediately turns around and is like, oh, okay, I can play this one. He also gets a great culling off that just sneaks past that Baron-empowered cannon minion to be able to pick up Leave, and it's a complete disaster right here. This isn't ThunderTalk out of the woods, but it does help them.
At the very least, they don't have super minions pouring into their base. They can actually kind of control these wave states. Look at top, look at bot, as this dragon spawns. So there's no, like, threat of your base being decimated. TT have bought themselves another 5v5 fight, and look at SeTab! He grabs Leave. Can they get him back out? That's a really big depth charge coming from Niket, and they're going to block the culling this time. Leave's going to turn with the Dawing Shadow, but TT still feel confident with their health bars in a better spot. Good stasis comes out from SeTab. Solokill, he's going to get stunned up. Niket goes down. Solokill gets back over the wall. There's Doinb, but he's going to get caught by 1xN. One more auto. 1xN survives in front of this assassin threat. Solokill is resetting, though. He's able to get these sweet spots with the World Ender out, and he's healing way too much damage for TT to contend with. It's just not enough late game juice for TT to make that fight work.
No, unfortunately not. ThunderTalk, they are going to have to limp away. They keep a couple of members up, but importantly, they are going to lose out right here onto the Mountain Dragon. That's going to be Mountain Soul picked up for NIP, their second soul in a row. And hopefully this one is going to come paired up alongside a win.
Oh, but man, Bloxxer, another fight.
Done it here.
Way too close.
Yeah, Leave. You don't need to be anywhere near anybody. We've been joking about him being off-screen, and he's genuinely close to being that far away from people. Still, the big damage comes on through. It's Solokill that kind of wrestles this game back into their favor. Look at him. He stood right in amongst three members, and he's taking a lot of damage, but it just doesn't matter. Every single time he hits somebody, he just heals up for so much. And yeah, Doinb does die in the backline, but again, he does the beginnings of the work that's needed to be done. And watch 1xN, he's kind of locked out of this fight. He's really not able to step up because he's under threat from Solokill and Naiyou the whole time.
Getting Leave out was such a godsend too. The underrated healing and shielding that these Qs provide along with that range. It was almost the perfect angle there for TT. But after all these heroics, it feels like another game just going too long. For this time, NIP. Well, yeah, NIP again. With the Mountain Soul, though, I mean, this TT comp is so burst reliant. We're limit testing how crazy Senna can get at this point.
Sorry to interrupt. It popped up on my screen. I was like, yo, that is a ridiculous amount of stacks right there. The Sen has been in a really interesting spot in the meta right now where it is one of these go-to late game scalers, but usually you don't get the free early laning phase that this one did. Unfortunately, because Feather dies right at the start of the game, you get to chill in the early lane, and Leave has just never looked back. And now, if you thought he was tricky to kill before, he's hitting this tower from outside of tower range. You also now have to get through this Mountain Soul shield on top of him as well. I mean, getting a pick onto Leave is going to be nigh on impossible here for ThunderTalk.
All right, Doinb not catching that back, so that's what we get in the picture-in-picture. That is a pretty good buy, I will say, for 1xN. I was curious what this last item would be.
Yeah, I like it. Serpent's
Fang is pretty good for this Senna, but the question is still, does anyone ever get towards Senna? If the only person who can really answer that is Leave, if he is in correct position. Such an awkward state to be in. 30 minutes, 8 minutes in, we have a Mountain Soul already down. There's an open inhibitor bot side, but neither team has enough raw pushing power to actually threaten a siege anywhere. So it's just going to be a Baron dance.
Yep. Get ready, strap in. We'll see if this one lasts anywhere near as long. At least the first Baron of the game went down pretty quickly, but the push actually didn't end up working out particularly well for NIP. They step up a little bit too far. It's one of the reasons that ThunderTalk were able to begin to claw their way back into the game. 4k is the lead at the moment. It's not even that big. I mean, you can see, right? There's a 3k gold lead in the jungle. Naiyou is so far ahead of Arky, but Arky's still been incredibly useful in a lot of these fights. Because of the Crescent Guard, he can just absorb so much pressure, and is dealing more than enough damage that if he can get on top of Leave, he does enough to at least force him away.
TT just need to get a shockwave down on Leave, who is, oh my god, just...
That's a tank.
Bap, bop, bop. Yeah, I mean, I will say Hoya, I would like to see exactly how much health he has, because it is a preposterous number when it comes to his HP. But, all right, NIP running down the mid lane. They're going after SeTab, who has to burn his stasis. I don't think he even has flash to get out here. The shockwave just going to delay his end. He actually is able to sneak back out here. And Solokill takes a lot of damage, but Feather goes down first. The culling just not connecting on these low health bars. Aki's down as well. NIP have a couple options on their table. The Baron is up, or they can just go for the end here. They're going to take the smarter route and cash the 2 kills in they claimed for the second Baron of the game.
Yeah, the fact that SeTab's actually able to survive there is crazy, but the fight just not quite working out for ThunderTalk. So much healing coming on through. You highlighted it exactly right. Leave able to just sit there, auto-heal, auto-heal. SeTab way out of position. He should not have been here. Good stasis, and he instantly lands the shockwave as well. He forces the flash away out of Leave, which stops him from dying. That's at least something. Solokill with just one extra dash, otherwise he would have died to the culling from 1xN, and that might have changed that fight around.
But nope, it ends up with NIP holding on to this Baron, and we revisit one of the coolest points of this entire game. Does Leave actually get to 200 stacks? Bloxxer, have you ever seen a 200 stack Senna in a competitive game?
In a competitive game, absolutely not. No. No. In a solo queue game where you're going for 60 minutes because nobody knows anything, yeah, there has been a 200 Senna.
That was 2 autos on the Aki. He's lost about 30%.
I just want to see him autoing the tower from outside of the tower range.
Yeah, watch this, guys.
He's so far out of the base.
NIP, man, like, come on. You need to end this game. This guy is actually hitting from... we made the joke another screen. It's actually another screen now. Yeah. I just want to see him get 2 more souls. All right, there's one. Come on, give me a second one. I need to see 200. Oh, no, there it is.
There it is.
Oh,
my
no.
Lord.
Oh, there we go. 200 set of stacks in an LPL game.
That's crazy. That's crazy to be able to get this far ahead. As long as Leave keeps his positioning right. Aki goes in.
I mean, you have to, right? The shockwave lands, but doesn't get on to Leave. They do brunt Doinb diving towards the back line. But if Leave's not down, you have to like the odds of NIP. Doinb into the stasis perfectly as he's pushed all the damage dealers away from the death ball that is NIP. They only lose Feather, but there's no way for them to defend these Nexus turrets because Leave can hit them from outside of turret range. TT have lost all their main engage tools. There's no way to threaten Leave, who is just bapping turrets down auto by auto. Anyone that steps near him loses, gets demolished by the might of the scaled Senna. The Nexus is exposed and open for the taking, and Leave can just trick shot it from halfway across the screen. The hook lands on his SeTab. He goes down. Another 40-minute game, headlined by the biggest scaling Senna you've seen. NIP not us up at 1 apiece.
210 stacks on the Senna is insane. That's a truly nuts amount of stacks. I've never seen a Senna be hitting from that far away in a competitive game in my life, and it meant that there was just no way to play this game out as ThunderTalk. No. They couldn't get themselves back into this one. This is the other side of the, hey, don't worry about it, we don't have to push the pace of this game on, we can wait later, where you actually completely outscale your opponents, and with Leave playing like he was, at some point they just couldn't deal with him.
Oh, yeah. Sleeping Giant definitely created there. And I'm glad you called it out while we were in the game. I don't think this is a reality if you don't kill Feather off like 25 seconds before waves hit bottom lane. And Feather just hands a scaling Senna a free first couple of waves.
It's all stemming off of that, right? Of course, there's plenty of things that happen across the course of a League of Legends game, but Senna being weak and getting pushed around in laning phase is the Senna experience, right? You don't get to do that much damage from that far away 40 minutes later if you don't get a free laning phase during the initial couple of minutes of the game, and it was just baffling because it's a ThunderTalk play. They go in, they go try to steal away the chickens, they lose out onto the smite fight, unfortunately, and at that point, Turn Tail Run, they can't You lose Feather, as you said, that's what snowballs things out. I don't just want to highlight, though, on to leave, because there are a lot of people who really stepped up incredibly well in this game. I would like to highlight Solokill, personally. He was just so big this game, was just a massive frontline ball and healing for just such ridiculous amounts.
I think Naiyou gets the most out of this Pantheon as well, early and often. The one reoccurring theme in this series, despite it being knotted up, is that once we get in a mid-game where side laning is such a priority for both these teams, NIP have been so much better.
Yes.
I can't remember any of their members getting picked off in the side waves. I've watched SeTab die in sides 7 times. That's a rough estimation, but 7 times already.
Yeah, it's been constant, right? And it's the difference between these two players, SeTab and Doinb, where Doinb also died a lot that game. He easily had the most deaths on his team, but who cares? Every time he died, it's because he was in the backline and he'd taken 3/4 of the health off of a couple of the key members of ThunderTalk, and then, well, what do? You can't play the rest of the fight. You've now got domed by leave off of your screen. That is how you win the fights. Whereas SeTab dying, it's because he's quite out of position. He's overpushed to the side lane. He's stood on the edge of a wall he shouldn't be at the start of a team fight, and maybe he doesn't die, but he kills the rest of his squad. And you can see it wasn't a smooth up, right?
No.
NIP, they have to fight for this one. It still takes them over 40 minutes to be able to pick up this game, but also Leave does 53,000 damage.
Yes, this is very positive for NIP, but I'm glad you pointed out how long this game takes, because the rest of Group Nirvana is going to be talking about who can really challenge EDG, who can get themselves in best position with those seeding conversations like you talked about. This is a win for NIP. This is a big Leave game, but I'm still not inspired that this team is closer to Edward Gaming right now compared to the pack.
They feel like they're closer to LGD and ThunderTalk right now. This feels like this is a matchup between two teams that are very evenly matched, which it shouldn't do, especially not when, I mean, we're going to have to keep highlighting it. SeTab is having a pretty bad series, and Hoya in this one had a really bad game. He was constantly missing a couple of these big ultis, and it didn't feel like there were any big, egregiously wrong problems on any of the individual members right here from NIP. It didn't feel like a micro problem. It feels like a macro problem and a confidence problem, where they just aren't confident enough to step up and push the game forwards. Yes, it works out for them in this game, and you have a composition that scales really well. We get to see Leave on 210 stacks, but they could have won this game ages ago. They didn't need it to last this long beforehand.
And here was that one head-scratching fight becomes a reoccurring episode, a reoccurring guest in this sitcom of a series. Just you saw it on the goal graph, this sharp decline. If this fight is a little more polished, right, Doinb goes in the same time as Naiyou, you let Leave step up slowly and surely, the game ends here. But that's not the reality we're living in.
Yeah, exactly. It's such an odd situation where they win this game and it looks good in the end, but it still leaves me with lots of questions about both of these teams. And honestly, going into this game number 3, I really don't know what's going to happen. I wonder, as ThunderTalk, if you do want to put 1xN on someone more of a late game scaler, maybe if you want to get him something like the Smolder and say, hey, we need you to have that late game power as insurance once this game goes for 40 minutes. We trust that NIP won't know how to close a game out any quicker than that.
On the flip side of that, though, 1xN was put in a terrible position to ever try and play an early game comp, because I hate to keep ragging on it, but Feather dying early just shut down that really key lane to be the mid-game power spike for ThunderTalk. So you also could say, should we play a 1xN Caitlyn comp and let him, that kind of can be both best of both worlds too, because Caitlyn is kind of a gross scaling champion, just one of the weaker mid-game champions. We'll have to see once we get into those Game 3 draft discussions. But for now, we just got to get out of the way, Bloxxer. They're giving player of the game to Leave.
Are they? I mean, I feel like you could be right, but Naiyou had a game. He died once and had a cajillion kills and assists. I feel like this one might be a little close.
I think the damage graphs are just going to completely sway this one.
Hey, that amount of damage is crazy, and that damage from range.
I do think getting player of the game for Senna feels illegal, because there's not a lot of expression with Senna.
Yeah.
It's Oh, you timed your Dying Shadow really well. You know, you shield up your teammates great, and, you know, stacking souls is really big. Hey, good call, Bloxxer. You know what? There you go. Naiyou grabs his 3rd player of the game. Screw the 220 stack Senna.
Yeah.
That only became a reality because of this guy.
Exactly. This is why I was pretty happy when I see Naiyou pop up on my screen right here. The way he played this game out, he was just so proactive, just constantly using those ultis to great effect, and that's what you have to do, right? He was finding the dives, he was finding the picks onto the side lanes, and just never let up the pressure, and also in a composition without a real, true tank, he was absorbing so much pressure, just putting that shield up and just saying, hey, hit me, it doesn't matter.
What matters is the next game of League of Legends coming to your airwaves. We've got a lot to say about both of our teams through games 1 and 2. But it's time to put all that to the wayside. One final game to finish off the round robin, the first one, between ThunderTalk and NIP. Will they be knotted at the same spot in the standings at 3 and 2? Or will NIP separate themselves from the pack? One final Nexus explosion will decide that and more after our intermission.